Imagine that. How Dr. Seuss wrote The Cat in the Hat. In 1954 was a great year to be a kid. There were 5-cent donuts and 1-cent lollipops. Rock and roll had just hit the record shops. Bookstores brimmed with exciting new books like Charlotte's Web, The Lord of the Rings, and Horton Hears a Who. 1954 was a great year to be a kid, unless you were trying to learn how to read. For some reason, first graders weren't making the leap from reading to few words to reading a whole book. Grown-ups were stomped. What could the problem be? Kids knew the answer. School readers were just plain boring. A famous writer named John Hersey agreed with the kids. He had an idea for solving the problem and wrote about it in Life magazine. What kids needed was a beginning reader, so exciting that they couldn't stop turning the pages. Who could write a book like that? Only the funniest children's author in the land, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss, we insist. Won't you please write a book that no kid can resist? P.S. Use the words on this no-nonsense list. Ted, as he was known to his friends, had already published 9 big picture books. Books like If I Ran the Zoo and Scrambled Egg Super. They were funny and kids loved them. But could he write and illustrate a first grade reader? Of course! A short little book like that would only take 1 or 2 weeks. Or so he thought. Each morning after breakfast, Ted went upstairs to his studio. He had a chair and a desk and drawing board for drawing and a typewriter for writing. He also had a closet full of outlandish hats. When he couldn't think of the right words, a suitable hat was sure to help. Writing a beginning reader was not as simple as it seemed. For one thing, Ted liked to invent new words for his books. Words like oobleck and ikachat and urkanwambus and hippano-humbucus and doobie-doo-dunkus. But in this book, he would only be able to use words from the official list. I shall write a rip-roaring book about a queen zebra, Ted declared. He checked the official list. Queen? No, not on the list. Zebra? No, not on the list. Maybe a book about a bird. I like birds. Bird? Not on the list. No. Ted glared at the list. He spied the word cat, and he spied the word hat. Cat rhymes with hat, so I'll just start with that. He reached for his crayons and his colored pencils. Cat, hat. The cat needed a whizzle-bang story. Ted doodled. His stories often began with a doodle. He daydreamed. He tapped at the keys of his typewriter. He dooned several hats as he sat in his chair and stared at the list. In his head, Ted juggled the words on the list. Then he thought, why not let the cat juggle instead? He can juggle the stuff on the list. Yes, he can. He can juggle a rake and a book and a fan. He can juggle a fish, and a fish won't like that. I will draw 2 nice kids to have fun with the cat, and 2 naughty things, and a keen cleaner-upper. I think I'd get started tonight after supper. Ted pondered how kids learned to read. He had a hunch that easy rhymes and funny drawings would help them guess the words they didn't know. He used tricks to hoax readers to turn the page. For example, he put the word bump in huge letters at the top right edge of the page 5. What What made the bump sound? Kids had to turn the page to find out. Ted drew, and he redrew. He wrote, he revised. It took more than a year until he was satisfied that the book was funny enough and exciting enough and all around stupendous enough for kids learning to read. Ted delivered the script to his publisher in New York. They loved it. Soon, huge sheets of paper rolled off giant printing presses. Workers used special machines to fold the page, cut into pages, sew the pages together, and sandwich each book between two covers. They loaded the books onto trucks, and the trucks rumbled away to libraries, bookstores, and schools. It didn't take long enough for the news to spread from kid to kid, from coast to coast. There was a new book, an easy book, a book that was so much fun you just couldn't stop reading it. Everyone had to have a copy of The Cat in the Hat. Ted traveled to Boston, New York, and Chicago to meet kids, sign their books, and give autographs. The first grade reader was a smashing success. He had done it. He had created a fantastic book using only 236 different words. But the great Dr. Seuss didn't stop there. No, he wrote a sequel. The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. And he started to publish more books for kids who were beginning to read. One day, Ted's friend, Bennett Cerf, proposed the ultimate challenge. He bet that Ted couldn't write a beginning reader using only 50 different words. Only 50 different words. Could he? Would he? Yes, in fact, he could do it here or there. He could do it anywhere with the help of a clever young fella named Sam I Am. A whopping big serving of green eggs and ham. Imagine that.